Hey guys. Okay. Okay. Hello everybody. Tonight is um tonight we're entertaining our guest Lisa Wilson. So thank you guys for joining us. Tonight is Thursday. February the 29th. We got 29 days in this month. Is this leap year? Okay. So we just want to welcome Lisa tonight. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Bunny. Thanks for joining us, all of our guests. So let's sit back and let's learn something. Lisa, take the stage.
Well, good evening to, each and every one of you, my family and friends who are here to support me. And most of all, I just want to say thank you to this platform for hosting me tonight. My name is Lisa Wilson. I hail from the Midwest, but I reside in the DMV area. I am the parent of Blake, who is a 10-year-old child with multiple disabilities, but he is thriving. So there is good news on the horizon. Essentially, what I tell people is that Blake is my world and I am his voice. My passion is disability and educational advocacy. And my mantra is, and my mission is to bring the disabled students out of the shadows. Why do I do this? Because disabled children become disabled adults. And we have an obligation to, that's Blake, guys. Sorry about that.
Hi, Blake.
Hi.
Sorry about that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I know I feel like I'm amongst family and friends. So we owe it to this community of disabled children to make this country more inclusive and to prepare the colleges and the workplace employment opportunities that they're going to have down the road. We owe it to them to work hard on this term called inclusion. So through my advocacy, that is my overarching goal and objective.
I love it. I love
I
it.
do too. I do too. I
Yeah.
love your mission statement. I
Mhm.
do. Now, what we're going to do is we wanted to give Lisa an opportunity to introduce herself, to tell us, what she's about, what she's doing with Blake. I know you said the first thing you said is that he has multiple disabilities. Can you tell
Yes.
us a little bit about those disabilities?
Yes, Blake is on the spectrum. He's on the autism spectrum. And for those who are not aware, um, autism keeps evolving. So now they're moving into levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. Blake would be what you consider to be level 1. He is independent. He can do self-care. He can participate and communicate. So he's in level 1. Initially, when he was diagnosed at the Mayo Clinic, he was diagnosed on the moderate end of the spectrum. And then here in Maryland, he was retested several years later, and he's now on the mild end, and then now level 1 because all the language keeps changing. And so that was his primary diagnosis. About 5, they really don't like to diagnose ADHD before the age of 5. So about 5, we knew he had it, but that's when we were given our formal diagnosis. And so right now, ADHD seems to be the most prominent disability. It's kind of overpowering everything else right now, and it's just that high energy level. Inability to really self-regulate. But we're doing some mitigative strategies and, of course, behavior therapy. He's immersed in all of that. And a lot of things are turning around for him.
Mm.
In addition to those, what I consider to be the larger diagnosis, we also have a diagnosis for dyslexia. Dyslexia is it's a learning disorder, and it's characterized by inability to read. But with dyslexia, it's more than just reading, because sometimes what they see, and I'll explain this as well. Blake also has multiple vision conditions, so what he sees is not what we see. So
Mm.
he he may see the word pie, PIE, we would see PIE, he may see PI. So sometimes
Mm.
words disappear, letters turn upside down. It's a little bit challenging. So when this is, and I'm going to talk about this. This is why it's so important in your advocacy to make sure that you get a full battery of testing for your children, because sometimes we get stuck on the big ones, but it's the little
Mhm.
ones that actually impact education. So we
Mhm.
have a diagnosis for dyslexia. We have also what you call dysgraphia, and that's dysgraphia, dysgraphia. And that is characterized by an inability to write. So while Blake can write, his writing is not very legible. And as you know, writing demands and academic demands increase as you move through school. So we are mitigating that with assistive technology. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with the audience today. So, and then we also have a, a diagnosis that I had never heard of, dyscalculia. I hope I'm saying it correctly, but that's the one that is characterized by inability to do number processing and math, and so Blake really struggles with that, but he is working hard. And the other day I was quizzing him, and I said, "What's 2 times 2?" And he said 4. He just rattled it off, and I was just in near tears.
Mhm.
He didn't understand it, but just the fact that this is a child with so many disabilities, and he's able to actually do basic level multiplication. It was pretty exciting for me. Okay.
Lisa, I had to pull out my paper and pen.
Mhm.
Now, what was the second to the last one that you said about his learning or the writing? I think
Yes,
it was the writing.
dysgraphia, and that's dysgraphia.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
the
deep.
writing. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
hopefully, we'll have an opportunity to really talk about testing, a full battery of testing, because
Mhm.
it's so important that we capture the full profile of the child, and then
Yes.
that's how we learn how to educate the child once we understand where the strengths and weaknesses are.
Wow,
So
this is really good. I have my grandson is 6 and he's autistic. So he definitely has challenges writing, but I did not know that there was a word for that. So
yes,
thank
ma'am.
Mm.
you.
And what you're going to understand is that most people don't. Some people don't understand autism is not a mental health disorder; it's a neurological disorder.
Right.
And so it
Mhm.
starts in the brain, and
Mhm.
actually dyslexia, the writing, everything, it starts in the brain. So when their brains are different, all of these different domains are likely going to be impacted. And
Mhm.
so I'll move into the vision piece. He has multiple vision conditions, the most serious being what we call accommodative esotropia. And that's when one or both eyes turn inward. And so when I was a little girl back in the day, they just said, "Oh, this person has a lazy eye." So
Mm.
that was just kind of the way, people characterized it.
Mhm.
But it's a very, very serious vision impairment. And because of that, the dyslexia, the reading, all of those things are very challenging for him. So, with accommodative esotropia, he wears glasses, corrective lenses, full 24 hours a day. Sometimes he sleeps in them, and he's
Wow.
really dependent on them because his vision is blurred and it's crossed. And so, even with the glasses, and so one of the struggles that I had with the school system is getting them to understand that the glasses don't solve the problem, because accommodative esotropia cannot be solved by medication, surgery, or corrective lenses. It just helps to stabilize the eye so that the eye is straight. But Blake's eyes do not work together. So when you and I look at an object, both of our eyes go to that object. His eyes do not. So
Mm.
with corrective lenses, he is still experiencing blurry and crossed vision. And so, again, these are all brain based.
Mhm.
Everything we're talking
Mm.
about is brain based today.
Mm. Okay, well, let's go back to Blake's. Thank you, Lisa, for that. That tutorial. Some of these things I have never heard of, and I definitely, like you, Bunny. It's like a lot of the things that your kids deal with. Like they may say, okay, they're autistic, but you're right. it's like they don't go, even though autistic is the umbrella, they don't really tell you what's coming under it. So it's a ABCDEF, and a lot of that stuff comes together, and it causes the bigger problem, because like you say, you're not really looking at the little foxes, but the little foxes sometimes is what contributes to the bigger problem. So I thank you for doing that. I also want to go back to Blake when he was born. Tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that. Even when you were did you have any knowledge that Blake was going to have any type be born with any type of disability?
No, but because of my age, I was in a high risk pregnancy
Okay.
clinic because of my age. So,
Okay.
because of my age, that was kind of always an issue in my appointments. It
Mhm.
always found its way in the conversation. I did submit to extensive genetic testing because of my age and because the doctors were very concerned. But I was, all the testing came back negative for the, very severe genetic disorders. Um, Blake, in my opinion, he was just a normal baby, kind of crying a lot. If I could really like go back to those early months and weeks, there was a lot of crying, like a lot of agitation. But it wasn't anything that was so out of the ordinary that it caused me to seek out medical attention. But so Blake he had language and he was eating um, right at 1. And then around 18 months is when we noticed the language started to fade away. And so we started to see a lot of pointing and a lot of kind of screaming. It's a very high pitched scream that he used to do. And I later learned from the Mayo Clinic that a lot of times when you see children that scream and they make different sounds and noises, it's only because they're frustrated because they have the language, but they're trying to get the language to come down. And so when the language doesn't come down, they get frustrated. And then that's when they result to screaming and making other
Wow.
noises and sounds. But so yeah, so 18 months we lost language, and we lost and right after 1 he stopped eating. So Blake was on he sustained on Pediasure for a little bit, almost 3 years. It was incredibly expensive. Um, Really financially set me back. If you anyone knows what Pediasure is, it's in
Mhm.
It's in Walgreens, and I think it's like 12.99 for 6. And
Yeah.
so as he began to grow, he was drinking 2 at a time. So morning, at lunch, and then at night. And so you're looking at, buying multiple cases. The people in Walgreens felt so bad for me. I was living in a small town. The ladies in Walgreens start clipping the coupons for me.
Oh,
that's
that was
just
nice.
Oh,
That was
that's just
nice.
how bad they felt for me because it was really costly. And what I like to share with the audience today, because I've since learned that had I just mentioned that to his doctor could have wrote a prescription and my Blue Cross Blue Shield would have paid for it because it's life sustaining.
And this is why
wow.
we do this platform
That's
to
right.
educate everybody on the resources that's out there. I
Mhm,
definitely can relate to the screaming because
mhm,
Grayson went through that as well. And we were
mhm.
told the same thing. He hears himself, and because he wasn't able to use words, he was screaming a lot out of the
Yes.
frustration. Yep. Hmm.
Yes.
Mhm.
So about 2.5, I thought I was doing something great by keeping him home. And I hope that this part of the presentation resonates with those who are new on this journey. Because with my first son, I was in law enforcement and I was, away from home quite a bit. So I had some of that parental guilt. So I
Mhm.
said, this time I'm gonna keep him home with me. I'm gonna take care of him. I'm in a different place in my life. I'm in a different career. But one of the worst things you can do for children that have neurological disorders is not put them in situations where they can use their language and also observe modeling behavior from their typical peers. And so that's in a daycare. That's a daycare environment. we have to deal with the ringworm and the colds and
Mhm.
all that and the viruses, but they need that stimulation to their brain to practice that language, even if it's not real language, and then have that social interaction. Because one of the main deficits of autism is social communication. So
Yeah.
you'll see the older kids, they don't really interact with other people. They just prefer to be alone. But we have to retrain that brain by consistently putting them in environments where they are have an opportunity to observe and then participate, even if it's just baby banter back and forth. So that was something that, if I had any regrets, it would have been not putting him in daycare sooner.
Well,
So that's
when did you put him in daycare?
at about 2.5. And
Okay.
so, and turns out it was the best decision I ever made. And I'll tell you why. Because there was a lady there, Miss Michelle, she was the director. And it was time for Blake to go into the 3-year-old class, but you had to be potty trained or at least initiating. He had no interest in that. So he was a late potty trainer. So I had just accepted that. But she told me, I came to pick him up one day. She goes, well, he's not going to the 3-year-old class. And I was kind of depressed, like, well, why? And I thought it was something else happening. But what was happening in real time is that she was communicating to me that she had some concerns. And so I remember this day because she went behind her desk, like she put a barrier between us. And I thought that was weird because normally we would just talk face to face. And she says, have you thought about getting him tested? And I was thinking, tested for what? And maybe I didn't say this at the onset. I had never heard of autism before. Um, when I was being raised, people with disabilities were hidden away.
Absolutely.
They
Yep.
shipped you down south. They put you in a basement. Literally, that was, that's just the way it was when I grew up. So I didn't know a lot about this world of disabilities. So when she said that, have you ever thought about getting him tested? I didn't know what she was talking about. And then, she kind of said, autism. And I was like, really? Oh, okay. And I was really angry with her. I was so angry that I withdrew him from that daycare because I thought something else was
Oh,
happening. But
Mhm.
I was wrong. She was actually an angel that God sent to me, because had she never said that to me, I would have never thought to take action and to follow through and to actually get him tested, because I thought it was his terrible twos. Then I said, okay, we're terrible threes. So, but I was dead wrong, and she was absolutely correct. And so I lived about 4 hours from the Mayo Clinic, and my sister and I drove over there in a winter storm, and we stayed a week, and battery of testing, just the most amazing experience you could ever imagine. We were treated with so much dignity and respect that I left there with my head up. I
Now,
left there.
did you, so even though you kind of disputed in your mind, you didn't really agree with her, you did take her advice.
I did, because I had to take a step back, and he was causing a lot of property damage in the house, slinging his sippy cups into our large screen TVs, just wiping out, just cell phones, and 2013, 2014, cell phones were still costing quite a bit.
Girl, mhm.
Yes,
Um,
And
yes,
so were TVs.
right. Well, he
yes.
wiped out
I think
about
we
five.
all know it's 5 TVs for me. Yeah.
Yeah, he wiped out about five
Yeah, the
Mhm.
TVs,
same here.
Wow. Yeah.
multiple.
Bunny deals with that all the time.
I had my fair share of even
Yeah,
replacing my parents' TV. So
yes,
I
yes,
understand.
yes.
Exactly. So I had to take a step back,
Yeah,
and
we've got
and then he,
plexiglass over the flat screen TVs now. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm at
That's a
one
great
point,
idea.
we
Mhm.
even put locks on the refrigerator, because he would just open up the refrigerator and slam it shut, open it up and slam it shut. And so we put a
Wow.
lock on
Yep.
the refrigerator,
Yep.
and then he used to do what we called it the swipe, where, say, this is your desk, everything is sitting there. He would just walk up, take his arm, So he was pretty famous for that for a while. I was so happy when God delivered us out of that phase.
Until the
Um,
next phase coming, you realize I'll take the
Yeah, that's
swiping.
my Grayson. Grayson does the same thing.
right. So just to answer your question, I had to take a step back and I
Mhm.
had to be honest with myself
Yeah.
and I had to really look inward and really come to terms with the fact that something may be of concern here. And so,
Well, that's kind of enlightening too, because I think because Morgan wears her disability, when I hear everybody talk about their children that were they look neurotypical,
mhm,
and most of the people thought, oh, they just need their behind spanked. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? They need to be jacked up. For me with Morgan, I got
mhm,
more sympathy because she wore her disability, but I've
gotcha.
heard several times that it's a lot harder on the parents whose kids look completely normal. They don't wear their disability. The parents are more the parents and the children are more chastised as far as their behavior, whereas Morgan is given more grace, you know. Now, even
Exactly.
though she's aware of what she's doing, most people will be like, oh, no, she's tired. I'm like, well, lay down.
Well, no, I'm glad you brought up corporal punishment, and I just want to share this brief story. I'm a former police officer, and one of my first child homicides, I'll never forget it. Her name was Amber. She was 3 years old, and she had pottied on herself, and that was her. That's what got her the death penalty, at the hands of her father. And so I don't believe in corporal punishment. And I'm so glad. I'm sorry that Amber, passed away, but that death did something to me because I just don't think corporal punishment is the answer. And so now, if I look back and if I had been physically assaulting and attacking my child prior to his diagnosis, I just don't know how I would feel about myself today because his behavior was completely something that he had no control
Out
over.
of
No
his
control.
control.
I
Yeah, out of
totally
his
get that.
control.
I
Yeah.
understand
Mhm.
that. Lisa, I
Yeah.
just have a question. And you talk
Yes.
about the daycare provider,
Mhm.
bringing that up, making you aware. What about his pediatrician?
His pediatrician, again, because like what Miss Paula said, Blake has a very typical presentation. But the one thing he wouldn't really give the pediatrician eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
so his first pediatrician, when he was like from 1 to 2, he met all of his milestones. So remember, he met all of his milestones. But then when he started regressing, um, I went to the pediatrician because I needed the referral.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, and he goes, you know what? He's not giving me eye contact. And he says, he was actually frustrated with himself. He apologized. He said, I rarely miss this. He said, but I think I missed something here.
Wow. I
Yeah.
like that. I like
Yeah.
that.
I
I
like
Mhm.
had
that
to,
too. And
I
I
was,
like that he was honest.
yeah. I mean, I was frustrated, but I was happy that he was honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to hear that, my kids do see a behavior specialist, and
Mm,
she too shared, Crystal, this is what I do. I diagnose kids, and I was in denial about my very own.
mm,
So I can appreciate someone being very open and honest. And then
mm.
you said, Lisa, that you traveled 4 hours. So if I'm correct, is it the Mayo Clinic in Cleveland?
Well, there are a few,
There are
but
a
the one
few. Okay.
I was living in Iowa at the time, so well, Rochester, Minnesota was the closest
Oh,
facility.
wow. Okay.
And I just not I don't work for them. I don't get anything from them, but I
Mhm.
just like this testing is so important, and you want to make sure you get the best of the best of the best. And
Mm-hmm.
I recommend the Mayo Clinic to anyone because they caught his vision impairment. And we just happened to be talking, sitting around talking. We said, you know what? Sometimes his eye turns in. And they all went, they were like, they jumped on it. They called up to ophthalmology, got us an appointment that next morning. I mean, so it was just, it's a holistic experience because they look at the whole child. And then, and not only that, we participate in several studies. And we just joined the Spark up at Kennedy Krieger. And so that's my way of giving back, not only through my advocacy, but it's very important that we participate in these studies because they're really working hard to figure out and understand why this is happening and at the rate it's happening. When Blake was diagnosed in 2017, it was 1 in every 68th child born had autism. Now it's 1 in every 36, and it might even be a little lower. And we're talking
Yeah.
a period between 2017 and 2024. And that's
Wow.
why we're saying we have to get this community, we have to get the society together to understand that these children are growing up and they will be entering colleges and they will be entering the workforce. And so we
Yeah.
have a lot of work to do to prepare and to make this world more inclusive.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Does Blake understand all of his disabilities?
He does not, but because this year Blake now has a direct support aide. And so there's a lot of attention on him in class. So he's starting to think that things are different for him
Okay.
because he's in general education with a special education pullout.
Okay.
So he's pulled out for that. He's pulled out for speech. He has the direct support aide, which I requested for her not to sit next to him, to sit across the room and to zoom in and zoom out so that he wouldn't feel become self-conscious, because he was like, why is she always right next to me? So I had to kind of get creative with that. But he has these pullouts. So he's starting to understand. And then and just let me add this one piece in, the assistive technology, in case we don't get to it, because I know it's 8:27. Because of Blake's vision, most of the children, well, all of the children in the school district are issued Chromebooks that are 10 to 11 inches. So understanding that Blake's eyes don't work together, so all of his information is kind of going different directions. And so when you squeeze it to make things bigger, he loses the field of view. So I lobbied really hard to get him a larger Chromebook. So he was awarded a 17.3-inch Chromebook.
Wow.
That's very good.
It is.
So
That's awesome.
that's why it's so important to have that total profile of the child.
Yes.
So when you go into that IEP meeting, you're prepared. You're going to know what you need and what to ask for.
Yes.
And then you'll have the supporting documentation behind you.
I just
And
thought I was doing a good job going into these IEP meetings, but obviously not.
Can I just say one thing about
Absolutely.
IEP meetings in case we don't come back? My sincere recommendation to everyone in our audience is that you never, ever, ever go into an IEP meeting alone. That's my advice to parents. It doesn't matter what grade level, it doesn't matter what geographical location. Never go into these meetings alone. These are legal meetings. And that's why at the end they ask you to sign, because nothing can happen without your signature. But these meetings are governed by federal regulations. And so it can be very overwhelming, very intimidating, and very overpowering if you don't have a grasp of what's happening. Never, ever, ever go into these meetings alone. That's my advice.
That's good
Very
advice.
good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Wow. It's a lot of information. That's a
I
lot of
know.
information.
I can talk about this. I drive everybody in my world crazy. I can talk
Yeah.
about disability. By profession, I'm an EEO practitioner. So I'm very comfortable in the disability arena, but just this whole thing, I talk about it all day. I love it. I can read it all night. It is so stimulating to me. And just being able to give back is just so personally rewarding for me. So thank you again for this opportunity.
We
What
have a
does Blake like to
question.
do? Oh, go ahead.
We do have a question. They said, I know you said not to go into the IEP meeting alone. Some people
Mhm.
want to know who's a good person to take with you.
Well, hopefully, you may have the professional person in your family. Our families all look different, but we always have, like in my family, we have Aunt Roberta. She was like the family attorney, but she wasn't. But we just looked to her for wisdom. So, hopefully, that you have somebody in your circle, your family circle, or your friend circle that can support you through that process. Um, I am an educational advocate and I do attend IEP meetings. As you can see under my name, it says free educational advocate. I think it's absolutely unconscionable to charge parents exorbitant fees to represent them in these IEP meetings. So that is something that I just I will never take a dollar from anyone. So I do attend IEP meetings, and so and I generally they ask me, "Are you an attorney?" And I say, "No, I'm just here for moral and parental support." But I have a very strong grasp on the federal regulations, so I tend to things are different when I'm there. I'll just say it like
I'm
that.
sure they
Oh
are.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Different. I
You
don't
got
I don't know who's in the audience. I don't know who's in the audience, and things
yeah.
are already really strained because of my aggressive advocacy. But never go by yourself. I'm definitely willing to attend virtual. If we're in different locations, I am willing to do that. I do it for free and I do it frequently, and I have no problem doing it. But you just want somebody there that's going to support you, and then make them the note taker. And so what happens is these meetings are very overwhelming, and you
Mhm.
kind of forget, you get lost in all the words, the
Mhm.
terminology, the legalese. And so you want somebody there just taking notes. They don't have to say one word, but let them take notes. Consider them to be your note taker, because it's a lot of information. And sometimes for example, my first IEP meeting, I didn't even have an idea what was happening, and they took autism off of my baby's IEP. They said they felt that he didn't have autism after he had been diagnosed at the Mayo Clinic, and
Oh
then
wow.
a re-diagnosis at Kennedy Krieger. And I just signed the paper. I was so happy. They were being so nice to me, and you want some coffee? So
That's what we do when we don't know.
Yes.
no, and that's devastating, because if you think about it, if they don't even believe your child has autism, how are they going to reach him and educate him?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I
Yeah.
learned something. There's what they call an educational diagnosis and a
Yes.
clinical diagnosis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, you can't, to me, what to strip him of his diagnosis is that you're almost stripping him of who he is.
That's
It's
right.
it's who he is, and we're okay with that.
Absolutely.
We're okay with
Absolutely.
that, but he learns differently. He processes information differently, and it's a
Yeah.
reality that we are living with and coping with. And so while they thought they may have been doing me a favor, they actually were really, it was really personally offensive when I really got educated about this process.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I
don't
learned
go.
that you needed a education diagnosis as well as the medical. So yes, I did learn that 2 years ago. Yep.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
And Paula has my information, my email, and send me an email, and I will gladly accompany anyone to an IEP meeting, because it's more than just a meeting. It's actually your child's educational future.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Someone wanted to know, how did you get this strong grasp on IEPs?
Well, I've been to about 40 meetings for Blake. It's unbelievable. I think last school year we had upwards of 10 IEP meetings. And anyone here who has a child with an IEP, you know that that's highly irregular and abnormal.
Mhm.
Um, but in my advocacy, like I said, I was very comfortable with the law and reading it. And so it became very almost entertaining to me. And then every time I would learn something new, and then I would spring something new on them, like it almost became it almost became, a game.
A tennis match almost.
you know but I just and then to just be real honest, it's just that I just prayed and I asked God to just give me what I needed to be a successful advocate for my child.
Absolutely.
That's
And
That
awesome.
is amazing.
poured he just poured it all in me. And sometimes I pinch myself because I'm like, why do I know this?
Mm.
Why do I know this? Like,
Your commitment is awesome. That's one thing that I love about you is your commitment to Blake. I mean, and it's rewarding to see parents who will deny themselves and just pick up their cross and bear it, because I think part of this process is us being an advocate for our child, and
Mhm.
not and that's what advocacy is about. When say is at the end, it's like being able to say what you have to say without having
Mhm.
that fear of being ostracized, because I
Mhm.
know for the most part, when I spoke up for Morgan, whether it was at school, whether it was in the doctor's office, whether it was in the family, whatever it was, you almost have to understand that you're going to be categorized, or you're going to be labeled along with your child. So I think that that's so important to understand and know that I'm going to accept that. But I'm going to stand up for my child anyway.
It's very difficult.
Mhm.
Just, I mean, the way I'm treated, at his school and in the meetings. I had one lady tell me about his vision condition, who is not a vision professional. Um, she says, "Well, he's wearing glasses. That is the correction." And I had to kind of educate her a little bit, but no, let me tell you about his condition. The glasses do not cure it. It helps
Mhm.
stabilize the eyes, but it doesn't cure it. So it's the
Mhm.
way you're treated, and and I had another person tell me, "You're one of our more savvy parents." And I couldn't understand what she meant by that. But in my opinion, it was an empty-handed insult, a backhanded
Mhm.
insult.
Mhm.
But then what it did more so than anything, it revealed to me how they perceive parents. They are able to successfully control the IEP process because parents don't have the knowledge
No,
That's right.
exactly.
That's
That's
exactly right.
exactly what it is. Yep.
to show up in the meetings and
Mhm.
actually tell them
Mhm.
what is going to happen for their child. And so that
Absolutely.
was very revealing for me. And it's sad. The state of special education is, we're in some dark times
Yes, we
because
are.
mm, inclusion, the children being immersed in general population or general education classes,
Mhm.
um, you would be surprised at the teachers who actually really resent that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Mm.
so true.
And
Mm.
there's not a real welcoming of these
I,
children to be in their classes. And as his teacher currently, she tells me all the time, I have 56 kids, 56. She says that to me. And I said, wow, I don't understand why she's telling me that, because my child has an IEP, and that means an individualized educational plan.
yes.
That's
Mhm.
no
Mhm.
slight to the other 55,
But he
but this
Right.
is
matters too.
He
Yeah,
this is
matters.
yeah, and I think that's sometimes what I've always felt is that Morgan did not matter because people almost wrote her off. I
Mhm,
mean, and I can just imagine. It's like I do feel sympathy for the teachers to a certain extent.
mhm,
But at the same time, my child deserves education because they're kind of putting the teachers in positions where they have to be a jack of all trades. And in some cases, they can't do that. It's like, okay, I have this one over here who's deficient in math, and this one that's deficient in reading, and then I have your child on the IEP, and I'm supposed to take this whole school day and cater to each and every person's need. But it's like at the same time, then give my child what they need from a
Mhm.
different standpoint. So we can't just ignore. Yes, I was gonna do that. Morgan matters. I used to say that all the time. Nicole, thank you. But I used to have I always said whenever I did something for Morgan, I would say Morgan matters, because I think
Mhm.
sometimes we forget that these kids still matter. And if you pull my
Absolutely.
child to the side and you make me think my child doesn't matter, if I feel like that, can you imagine how my child feels? And then
Mhm.
then you go into the behavioral. Now
Mhm.
they're acting
Yeah.
out because they feel as though they don't matter.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I think it's not, especially in different school systems and districts, you have where they're inclusion, they're pushing it, and, as a district wide, but then you go down to each level or each school building. And then when you get in buildings, it's teachers. It's always someone who's not on board, who's not
Mhm.
complying. And it looks different in elementary
Yep.
than it does in middle school. And it looks
Mhm.
very different in high school. And
Mhm.
it's especially when you have a kid that's in a general education. And one of the
Mhm.
things that we always say, especially in our district, is like kids with special that receive special education services, they are general education kids first that
Mhm.
receive special education services. But like you
Mhm.
were saying, Lisa, that's not what's across the board. Some teachers are, this is how I teach. Either your kid get it or they don't. You know,
Mhm.
it's not always across the board or each building, school building leadership. It's
Mhm.
just, and then teachers who do have large classrooms or kids, it's supposed to be a certain number of children that's in a
Mhm.
Mhm.
classroom, a certain percentage that have like
Mhm.
IEPs and things like that, so that a
Mhm.
classroom is not overloaded, because sometimes they
Mhm.
try to throw all kids with IEPs in one classroom, and that is not being equitable. You need a fair balance. They need models. They need their
Mhm.
peers to be models to them.
Mhm. Mhm.
Everything matters. So Lisa, you're just really sharing some really good golden nuggets for parents, us parents, to have as we walk into these meetings, and what it is that we would like to see for our child.
Mhm. Well, for
We
me,
have to advocate for our children. Yeah.
in my personal opinion is that we just have a systemic educational
Hmm.
leadership. Um, it's catastrophic. It's a catastrophic failure on leadership. It starts at the top,
Yeah,
and you leaders have to create an environment where inclusion is the standard. It's not the exception.
I
And
Right.
so,
love that.
and as parents, the antidote to what you just said, Miss Crystal, is parent education and parent advocacy.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
so
Hmm.
the
Mhm.
more we become empowered to participate in our child's education,
Yes.
um, then the playing field is more level. And
I love
so
it.
that's why it's so important to hold your teachers accountable and hold the school leaders accountable. I routinely email the school superintendents. Like, I'm not going to not let them know, because I think that one thing they'll never be able to have is plausible deniability. They will never be able to say that they weren't aware of something, they didn't
Mhm.
know about this. You have to stay to create a method of correspondence with them to get this information documented. So that's why it's so important. Parent education, parent advocacy. We can change this system. But
Yes.
let me just tell you who we do have in our corner supporting us. We have the United States Supreme Court. And as everyone knows, the Supreme Court rarely agrees on anything. It's always the Republicans versus the Democrats, 5-4, 4-4, 5-4. It goes back and forth. But what I want you all to know, in the listening audience and our panel, is that we have received two giant pieces of legislation that have come out of the Supreme Court that was voted on unanimously. The first being in 2017, Andrew F. Versus, I have to think about the school district, but if you type in Andrew, What they did is they talked, first of all, they talked about how important parents were, but they also changed the standard that de minimis is no longer, and de minimis is Greek, and it's for minimal. It's no longer that they just show up and they get a check mark for reporting to school. There has to be some educational progress. There has to be.
Mhm.
So just being there is no longer the standard. And so the US Supreme Court unanimously agreed with parents that the school districts have to reasonably calculate these IEPs so that there can be some educational success. Of course, individual, all of our children are individual. The second piece of
Well,
legislation.
real quick before you say that, I want to
Mhm,
caution some parents that
mhm,
because of this, you have to make sure that your child is not just moved through the school system. You have to
yeah,
make sure that when they say they accomplished a certain goal, you put them to the test. Because I've
Absolutely.
had that happen with Morgan. They had it where, oh, yeah, she accomplished this goal. And
mhm,
then when I went back and I questioned it, it was like, wait a minute,
mhm,
that let me even video it at home. If she did it at school, she can do it
Yes,
at
you can do
home.
it at home.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing I would caution parents.
mhm,
Make sure that when they say your child has accomplished something, that you really know that they have
mhm.
accomplished it.
Yeah.
Mhm. And the
That is
only way to
good.
do that is to have data. So,
Yep.
and
Right.
that's going to be the word of the day for our audience is data. It's a
Yeah.
four-letter word, but it will
Yeah.
change the dynamics of your child's educational trajectory.
I
That's
love
right.
it.
um, Data. So, no matter what they present to you, your response and your rebuttal is, can I please see the supporting data that you relied upon when you made that decision? And when
Mm-hmm.
they tell you no, you say, "May I please see the data that you've gathered to support the no?" And so you have to have data for everything. And so I was just going to say that the last case was last year, and it was Perez v. Sturgis.
Here in
And so
Michigan.
yeah, she knows all about it. And so that was a game changer. And so now parents, we have an opportunity to actually recover damages when schools fail. And so you have to, we don't want you to have to go there, but if you do, you need to understand that if you feel that you're in an untenable situation and you feel that your child is being mistreated, you really want to seek out an educational attorney and consider some legal action.
Yeah, I love it, Lisa. I love that you talk about parents being involved. Here in
Mhm,
my district, I'm located in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And here in
mhm,
my district, they have what's called like a parent advisory committee. And it's just like
mhm,
they have like parents that come together and support parents in the district.
mhm,
You can represent your school. You don't have to know anything, but just someone like saying, hey, my kid is at, XYZ school and I'm there. And if you got a question, you bring it to me. I can help
mhm.
you navigate because I'm in touch with other parents and we can work together. And that's very helpful because someone did ask a question earlier about where could they get like advocacy at advocacy.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I couldn't find it, but like Lisa, you're not everywhere, and you're instrumental to the area that you're located. But people who are listening, who are like, well, how can I find someone, an advocate for me? Yeah, how can we find an advocate in our area?
Yeah.
I was thinking like I know about COPA.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
but you're gonna pay,
you're going to pay. Yeah, I'm just
you're gonna
sharing
pay
that
dearly. Mhm,
some
mhm,
people, where I live in my state, some people utilize that. But I'm also near
mhm.
a major university that offers like that helps in
Legal
those
aid.
areas for free. Then our
Mhm,
state have a lot of resources, and
mhm,
there are starting points for many people. But
mhm,
I'm with you. Sometimes it's just starting with a family member because I like
mhm,
getting a different view. Somebody
mhm,
who don't know nothing be like, well, why didn't you ask about this?
mhm,
It's
mhm,
something, and then another
mhm.
parent in the school or something like that. I mean,
Well, Miss
it's
Crystal, I'm
mhm.
nationwide because
Okay. Well,
the
I
come
know
on,
federal
that's
Lisa.
right. I know
federal
that's right.
the
I know
federal
that's right.
regulations are
The
nationwide.
federal
Our
is
our
nationwide. You're right.
children are covered under the individual with Individuals with Disabilities Act,
Disability.
IDEA. Our children are covered under Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act, and our
Mhm.
children are covered under Title II of the American Disabilities
Yes,
Act.
Yes.
And so that is everywhere.
it is
Yeah,
everywhere.
definitely.
It's
Okay,
This is,
Miss
everywhere.
Lisa, I got
yes, this is
well.
Georgia. I
I
mean,
know. Okay, let me rephrase that. You're tangible to people in
yes,
the
You're one
area,
person.
but you're letting us know if someone is in another area and
Mhm.
they're like, I would like to reach Miss Lisa. You absolutely can because she
yes.
is. Yes.
This
Mhm.
is amazing. And it's important that we advocate for our children. I advocate for my grandson all the time. He's in a classroom with 17 autistic kiddos and one sped teacher. It's a lot. It's a lot going on. And when you talk about, sending letters and emails, that's me. I
Mhm.
email so much up the chain, Department of Education, Department of Special Education.
Me
I
too.
email the janitor. I email the lunch lady. It did not matter because the lunch lady and the janitor know someone in the building that needs to see my email. And as a result of me writing a lot of emails, he did get non-public placement. The
Mhm.
problem now that I'm dealing with is trying to find space in a non-public placement. So it's still a lot of issues. I'm going to reach out to you. I
Mhm.
appreciate this podcast today, Paula, because I do
Yes.
have
Yeah.
some additional questions. I am one that I believe in reaching out and being a voice to my grandson because he does not have a voice. So I am his voice, and I make sure that he is treated fairly and he gets the education that he deserves. I
Mhm.
definitely going to stand on that wall for that little boy.
That's
Yes.
right.
And
That's
just
right.
stand and just being there is half the battle
Yes.
because there's so many parents that for whatever reasons they're just not able to really show up and be there. So I consider myself an educational advocate, but also a parent advocate as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I want people to get empowered to be able to stand up and speak for their children. We have a question. Did you want me to answer that question?
Well, I think we all can answer that question. I think
Which question
what,
is it?
and I have
Oh,
it up on the screen. Have you ever had to
okay.
take a school system to court? Yes. I think most parents, yeah, most parents, we've had to do that. And I will say this, that's where advocacy came from. Not just, and I am going to say this because this is one question I have for you too.
Mhm.
Not just the school system, but we've had to advocate on the medical side as
Medical
well.
center.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want you to talk about that. I know we don't have much time,
Mhm.
but tell us also about when you've had to go and you've had to advocate for him at the doctor's office or with the
Mhm.
various specialists. Have you ever had to do that?
I have one thing, and I'm glad you brought that up. The one thing, and I tell all my family members who are dealing with children with autism and other disorders. The first thing you want to do is get a handicap placard, and your doctor has to your doctor has to complete that paperwork. It is very simple and straightforward. Most of the time, our children have what we call the word is escaping me.
Eloping.
Eloping. They have a severe eloping. And then with the ADHD, you have a lot of unpredictable behavior. And so you want to get a handicap placard because remember, all of this is happening in their brain. We don't know what's going to happen at
Yep.
any given time. And
Yep.
so um, advocating with your medical professional to help you complete that paperwork and get a lifetime handicap placard for your child. That is one of the things that I'm most proud of because Blake had a serious elopement issue. He went
Mm-hmm.
through that phase, and it is any parent on here listening, it could probably bring tears to your eyes
Yep.
because it happens that fast, and it's probably the most frightening that I've ever been, and the closest that I ever thought that I would lose him. And also, and I just want to plug swimming lessons for children with
Yes.
autism and other disabilities, because as we know, water is the number one killer of children with autism.
Yes.
They're absolutely drawn to it and fascinated. So get them in swimming lessons because
Yep.
we know they love water, but we want them to understand water
Be
safety.
safe. Yep. Absolutely. We open up the front door and my grandson was gone running through the neighborhood, no shoes. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it
was
is. Like I said, the closest I ever thought about losing him. Fortunately, I wasn't there, but my
mhm.
mom and my sister had him, and so I got
Yeah.
that call, and it took me down to my knees.
Yeah,
But
it's really quick. They're fast and
Mhm.
they're quick. Grayson, he elopes from school now and runs in
Mhm.
the neighborhood at school. So yeah, it's definitely a major issue and concern.
But
Mhm.
the handicap placard for the community, wherever you're taking them, you want to get as close as you can to the entrance, for their safety, because we just don't know what's happening in their little brains. And they may see
Yeah.
something and take off. They may think about something and take off. But yeah, even though Blake has outgrown the elopement, but the inattention, the inability to focus with the ADHD. So it's when we get out the car, it's like, come on, Blake, this way. He kind of daydreaming about something over there. So
Yeah.
that's the medical piece that I can offer. Um, I think that you just have to be very communicative with your doctor. You have to really tell them what your daily experience is with your child.
Yeah.
So
What does Blake like to do?
Blake likes basketball right now. He doesn't want to play it, but he's absolutely obsessed with basketball. So you can ask him something about LeBron James. He's going to tell you LeBron's address, where he grew up at in Ohio, and how tall he is and how tall his children are.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and a
Is
lot of
he
that,
still there, Lisa?
no, he's not. No,
Oh
no.
wow. Okay, I was going to invite him on screen as we
But
close him out.
my family is on here, so if they have an opportunity, they can send them in here. But yeah, we it used to be Thomas the Train. So whatever they get focused on, they
Yeah.
get focused on. And then the good side of that is that they really make great employees, because when you give them a task, they zero in and they work really hard. So that's why we have to continue to educate these employers,
Yes.
about getting this workplace ready for them, because they're coming. And so if
Yeah.
it's 1 in 36 right now, another 10 years it might be lower than that.
Yeah.
But if we do our work, they'll be welcomed.
And they can
That's
do
right.
more than just sweep a floor. So we definitely need
I
to
know that's
educate
right.
these employers because they are more than just the maintenance workers.
Yes, yes. I work for the government, and one of the things I talked about in my previous presentation is that I really would like to create a program, a pipeline from high school into the government, getting our the high school graduates. Sometimes they can stay up to their 21, but get them in positions, those that, are a little bit, they have stronger cognitive abilities, to
Yeah.
get them in the entry level government, starting the GS1, GS2 positions, because they should have an opportunity to have full benefits like we all enjoy,
Yeah.
a
Yes.
retirement plan.
Oh yes.
They deserve to have everything that every other federal employee has. But
We
it
need
takes
you on
work.
TV. You need to be on TV. You need your
I
own
told
show.
you. I told you, Lisa.
Well,
I
yeah,
told
I have a
her when
lot
I
of
met
dreams.
her.
I have a
Lisa,
Lisa,
lot
you
you
are
need
a
to.
gem.
I have a lot of
Yeah,
dreams.
Lisa.
I don't know
Lisa is
why
about it.
I don't know why this is my life, but I am so humbled and privileged by God for putting
Mhm.
me in this position, because I don't know where my life would be. I had all these other dreams about, doing all these grandiose things, but this is absolutely just a gift from God. And I love my baby, and I'm going to take care of him until I can no more. And so, and then I'm going to help any other child that is within my reach. Okay, he's coming through the door. So,
Okay.
Come on,
All
Blake.
right. Hey,
Blake,
Blake,
what's
how
going
are
on?
you?
Good.
okay. And I'm 5'7". Okay,
Are you
so
standing
Oh
up?
my goodness.
yeah, we're standing up.
Oh, wow. I thought you
Oh
were
my
sitting down.
goodness.
Yeah, so he's a big
Blake,
boy.
Blake, what did you do today? How was your day?
It was good.
It was good. How was
Mhm.
school?
School was good.
That's
Wow,
good.
you
Good.
are handsome. You
And what
know
kind of math? What kind of math did you do?
Um,
What's 2 times 2?
4.
All
All
right.
right.
Come on, Blake.
How about that? Blake, when I
What's
tell
your
you we
favorite? What's your favorite food, Blake?
Um, Bacon.
Oh,
Really, bacon? I thought
bacon.
you was
me
gonna say
too.
chicken nuggets or pizza.
That's all he eats. He has a very restrictive diet. So I don't even like bacon anymore because we cook it 2 and 3 times a day here. So
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
This
it's
is
something about
turkey
bacon.
bacon.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
Turkey
Blake, we've
bacon.
heard a lot about you, and one thing we do want you to know is that you have a great mom. You have a
Yes.
great advocate in your corner. You know that. You know, your mom loves you, and that's why we have her on this show
it's a
because
pickle spot.
we definitely want her to educate those on helping out other children with disabilities because guess
Yes.
what? She's doing a great job with you. A great job with
Awesome.
you. Yes, yes, yes. You got a jewel right there. You make sure
Sure
you take
do.
care of your mommy, Blake.
What do you say?
Blake, we have our viewers. The viewers are saying that you're handsome.
Yes.
I'm not.
Well, Blake, we wanna send you a gift card to
Oh,
go get something to eat. Tell us where do you like to go eat?
um, um, bacon.
Okay, where we gonna send you to
no,
Smithfield in
You
North
want a pound?
Carolina?
You want a pound of bacon?
please don't send no bacon here. Please.
Well, how about this? We're
He
gonna
said
send
yes,
you a
yes.
Visa gift card, and we want you to go and enjoy a dinner with your mom. Okay? How does that sound for you? You like that, Blake?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
what do you
All right.
say?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um,
Well, listen, we're just so happy that you allowed us to talk to your mom tonight, and we're happy that you graced us with your presence.
yes.
So, yes, we've
Thank
really
you too.
enjoyed.
Thank you. Whoever said that I'm cute.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of people. They said you're so handsome. You're smart and you're handsome. Yes, they did.
Who doesn't love bacon? I love bacon.
Yep.
He's
Someone said
reading the
bacon,
chat.
bacon, bacon.
Bacon,
Who
bacon,
doesn't love
bacon. Who
bacon?
doesn't love bacon?
Right, right.
How old is
Blake,
Blake? I'm 10.
oh, okay.
Did someone
Well,
say how old are you?
yeah. Somebody asked how old was
No.
Blake Treese.
Tell him when
She
is
asked
your
how old.
birthday.
On January
What?
12th.
And my birthday is
Oh,
January the 16th, Blake.
Oh,
I'm
oh.
January the 16th.
Hmm. So somebody said, ask him about LeBron. Can you tell us something about LeBron?
Manners.
Blake, tell them some facts about LeBron.
He won 4 rings.
Okay. All right.
And what else? Come on, give him some more.
Thank you who keeps saying I'm handsome.
Okay, he's real.
He's saying
So,
January.
so someone said, how tall is LeBron?
Thank you for saying
LeBron.
How
bacon
tall
as
is
well.
LeBron, Blake?
5'9", I think.
No, 6.
6.
6'9".
Mhm.
Okay.
So can we do a little NBA quiz real quick? Because the other day this was so shocking to me. He knows about people that
Cousin Blake.
have been long gone. How many points did Wilt Chamberlain score, Blake?
100. 0, 1,
Oh,
1.
wow.
And who did Larry Bird play for?
I think it starts with a B, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Boston, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Boston Celtics.
Come on, Blake.
Yes.
Yes.
Somebody named Treese has a sports podcast that my husband is on. She said he got to come on a sports podcast. Boy, they be going for it too.
He would
You might
love
can
that.
yeah, you might can bring a knowledge base to the sports podcast.
Yes,
Give
go
him a couple
Blake.
basketball facts. Wambalaya, what's his name? Come on, tell him.
I play football too.
Okay.
You play
Okay.
football?
Blake, like we putting him on the spot.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, he play okay. So I spend all my money. Then he says, "I'm retired."
This is a tickle spot.
That's a tickle spot?
Okay,
Yes,
Blake,
it's a tickle
stop.
spot.
Ooh.
Ooh, don't put your mama's business out there, honey.
Like someone said that you're very intelligent.
So
Are
what
you
do you
seeing
say?
the comments?
What do you say?
Thank you. Kia. Dennis.
Yes, Kiki. She says a very intelligent young man. So you getting a lot of play right here. All right. Do you know Steph Curry? They said,
Yes,
all right, all
Tell them
right.
something about Steph.
he shoots threes.
Oh man, he
What's
bad.
threes?
He's a
Okay, he
bad
was on the
boy.
side or something. What's
Oh,
threes?
Steph, three
What's the,
pointers, honey.
she
I
doesn't
know
she doesn't know
that.
what three is.
Paula,
I do know that hubby gate.
Bunny
Listen,
and Bunny. Bunny was like, well, what is it?
What
a
what's
three
shooting threes
pointer.
there?
Steph Curry is bad. Okay. Well, listen, we gonna wrap this up. We just want to say, Lisa,
Mhm.
it was a reason why I
Yes,
wanted you on
he
here,
Lisa.
does.
man. When I say you are
Mm,
awesome, hey,
awesome.
everybody, I'm going to that needs Lisa's information. Please inbox me. I don't want to put you out on social media, but please inbox me. And Lisa, I hope you don't mind me giving all your information
Oh,
out.
please do.
Okay,
I'll be
Please,
first to
okay.
call you.
please, please
Bunny the
do.
first one.
We're
Well,
gonna shake them up. We're gonna shake them up.
Lisa, thank you so much. First of
Thank
all,
you.
your knowledge base is just
Mhm.
awesome. And
It's
from day
good.
one when I met Lisa, I loved Lisa. I loved her energy. I mean, she is hilarious. And I'm just like very knowledgeable. I mean, this
Well, we
girl
can
just
see
sits.
why. We can see
She just sits
why.
and reads books. I mean, she just comes back and she dissects something. So I really believe that she would be beneficial to this podcast. I
Yes,
do believe we're going to take some other subjects in the future, and we would love to have you back on here
yes,
Mhm.
because I think we just scratched the surface of your
yes,
knowledge. And I would love to have you back on here now that you've gotten over
The
the
nervousness, yes.
yeah, the nervousness. The next time it'll be a breeze, but you did so good,
you
and
did
I'm
so well.
Well, thank
you
you.
did.
Thank you,
And
ladies.
I have
It's my
thoroughly
pleasure.
enjoyed you. I
I
It's
did.
my
have to.
pleasure. It is my
Yes,
pleasure.
yes,
Whatever
We
I
Lisa.
can
thank God for you.
Yes,
Yes.
we
thank you.
do.
It's all God. It's,
Mhm.
I had some other things I wanted to do with my life, but this is where he has me and I'm very satisfied. This is my mission and my passion. Someone once told me, you'll know when you find your passion in life because it won't be ambiguous. You won't have to ask any follow-up questions. You'll know what it is. And I can stand here today
Absolutely.
and say that disability advocacy is my new passion and it's going to be my only passion. I don't want to do anything else, but I want to make a difference in this world. And
Mm.
hopefully we'll get the attention of the White House. And we're gonna do some big things.
Yes.
And I have
Absolutely.
a lot of things I want to do, and I'm going to be reaching back to all of you for your
All
Yes.
support.
right.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, I
I
want to
told
say
you
a
we're gonna
part
be
two. We
working
need a part
together.
two.
Yeah, we
Paula,
do.
we need a part two.
We definitely do. That's why I said,
Yes,
Lisa, we just gonna bring you
part
back
two.
on because I did tell her
Mhm.
from the beginning. I said we gonna work together. I got a feeling in the future. I told you that. I said we're gonna
You
be
did.
doing something together. We
You
because I
did. You did.
yeah. So listen, she will be back on here, guys. As long
Yeah.
as she has the time, we will definitely have Lisa back on here. And we
Yes.
will tackle, if you guys can send us some subjects that you would love for Lisa to tackle, because I'm going to tell you, she's going to come back on here with a lot of research on that subject.
Well,
Yeah.
well, one of the things I just want people to think about, it doesn't have to necessarily be a topic, but to think about fatherlessness in the disability community.
We
It's
talked about that.
devastating. It's
Hmm.
devastating, and we have to try to figure out what can we do to try to turn this around
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
we're great mothers, but
Yeah.
fathers play a role that mothers can't. We can't
That's
feel.
right.
And
That's
so
right.
that's something that I want people to just think about.
Yes.
Fatherlessness in the disability community. It's already a problem, but when you think about disabilities, it compounds the
That's
situation.
right.
Well, I know one thing that we did want to have a subject on in the future, and me and you discussed this, Lisa, and I also discussed it with Crystal and Bunny. They brought this up because most people know I was a single mom for like 14 to 15 years, doing it with two different kids. And one thing that Lisa talked about is us having a session on here with the single moms and how the single parents, because there are some single dads, but the single
Yes.
parents raising a disabled child. So if that's something that you would love to be a part of, inbox me. Let me know because we can have a great platform of
Mhm.
these parents. First of all, people need to know it can be done. And we want to show you that. So I definitely
Mhm.
would love to have a platform, a show for us to just display the single parents that are raising these disabled children. It can be done, guys. And we're
Yeah.
still sitting, we're still standing, and we haven't pulled all of our hair out. So anybody that would
Hmm.
love to participate in that platform, inbox me, go on advocacy or inbox me. I also have my own page, Paula Armstrong. So please, we would love to have, I think that would be a very interesting platform.
Yeah. And also, someone wants IEPs, want
Yes.
a topic on IEPs.
That would be
Oh,
great,
yeah.
Lisa.
I would
So,
love to. I would love to drill down on that.
oh, that
Okay.
would be awesome. That would be awesome. So, guys, we're going to have Lisa back on here for sure. So,
Yes.
if we
Yeah.
do have a subject, we do have IEPs. If you have any other subjects that you would want to bring to the table that you want to discuss with Lisa, let us know. Okay?
Um,
Okay.
This has been
Lisa,
great. Thank you so
thank you.
much,
Yes,
Lisa.
it has been.
good
Have a
night and
good
God
evening.
bless.
Good night, everybody. We will see you next
Do we
Thursday.
have to end? Do we have to
I
go?
know, I know, I know.
Yeah, well, Blake didn't do his homework tonight, so his teacher gonna be mad at me. I at least gotta get him in the shower.
Right,
Okay.
Yes,
right.
yes. All
All
right,
right.
guys. Well, y'all
Bye,
have a
guys.
good one.
Bye
God
bye.
bless.
Bye.